Yep. Yeah, it shows I'm in red again. Of course, it likes to do that for our streaming health goals. But that's how life is, and I'll just live with that, okay? Ignore that because I've changed none of the settings. Matter of fact, I'll refresh the page here. Just to refresh the page, okay? Well, but anyhow, I'm going to give it a couple minutes here, and then I'm going to say what I have to say. As far as, you see, I got the little banner right there. Men going their own way, that's right. Real men go their own way. You see that, right? Well, that's what I want to talk about today, is men going their own way. Okay? Because the real truth is when we talk about men going their own way, and what you see online, for a long time now, I and Steve Hoka both said that the majority of men going their own way here on the internet are TFLers in denial. But now I'm going to discuss this in another aspect for you so you can really get the picture, okay? Of how fraudulent this really is. Okay, men going their own way. The concept of men going their own way was absolutely a great idea. If people took it seriously, if men really took it seriously and really done just that. It was an awesome idea. It was an outstanding idea because it was the one thing that needed to happen if you were ever going to bring the genders back together again. No lie. If you're ever going to cut through the crap, the BS that's going on in society and the division amongst the genders, if men really went their own way, or really going their own way, that would be the way to accomplish it. And in the end, you would bring the women and men back together again. But it's fraudulent. It's phony. It's fake. It's like everything else. I was talking with Space Devil 13 yesterday on the phone, Billy. And for a lot of you, unless you've been around a long time, you don't even know who Billy is. Okay? Sounds like I have a guest with me.
Hey, Bill, this is Jeff Ashton.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. Thanks so much for letting me call into the show.
Oh, yeah. See, I told you it was actually pretty easy as long as I came up under another form that you would be able to come into the show. So,
Yeah, this is actually
you
yeah this
know,
is actually better because I like
yeah.
to walk around and talk and light up a cigarette and pace back and forth. I really like this versus wearing the headset.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's nice meeting you. Hey, I've got something I was going to bring up. I'll get your input on it in a minute, but I'm going to go where I was going to go here. You notice I got the banner for men going their own way up here. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I
Okay,
was.
yeah, I'll
You'll
I'll
be
just
able to
write it
see it
down and
later. Yeah, you'll be able to see it later on when you watch the show back. And here in a second, I'm going to say what I want to say, and then I'll get your input. Okay. But
all right, yeah, cool.
but for people that have been around for a long time that knows me and knows what I've done, these are the people that's going to know who Space Devil 13 is, who Billy is. Anybody that was around back when I did the radio show or at the beginning of the radio show would have heard Billy. And that archive is still up. Anybody that knows of TFL Warhammer, Billy is the one that opened that account and handed it over to me. Now I'm going to give you something miraculous that most people don't know. Space Devil 13 Billy was a troll who trolled TFL, who trolled me, and who attacked me, and him and I had some feuds back and forth for about a month and a half, 2 months. And then we started talking and became good friends. So how do you like that one for good apples, okay? But I was talking to Billy last night, and Billy brought up something very interesting because Steve Hoke and myself, I've been telling you that the majority of MGTOW men going their own way up out here online anyhow, are fraudulent. The majority of them are probably TFLers in denial. They're not even men going their own way. I've told people how I feel about MGTOW, that if the concept was a great idea, And that's actually what it would take if you ever wanted to bring men and women back together for that to really happen. If you had a 5-year span where all men walked away from women, wouldn't give them the time of day, we could correct the problems and bring the men and women back together again. But that ain't gonna happen because it's so fraudulent. Nobody's doing it. Even the so-called MGTOW monks are a joke. They're actually not doing it. But Billy brought up something really good yesterday. He says to me, because see, Billy calls himself a lone wolf. Billy don't have issues with women because he calls himself MGTOW and he's walked away. He says someday if he would meet the right woman, then he would consider that and he would no longer be alone. But he's not looking for a woman. He sees the corruption, he sees the division, and he will stand by a man who's in the right over a woman any day because he sees how corrupt it is. But now catch this. Billy has an ex-wife and a daughter, and the ex-wife and him are in constant communication. She's been remarried. She talks to Billy regularly. He sees his daughter regularly. As a matter of fact, last night his daughter was over there. And Billy does not hate women, okay? No more than I hate women. What we hate is the double standards. What we hate is the corruption and how people are treating one another, the division. So with that being said, he says to me, I consider myself a man going my own way. And he says, I'm looking all over the internet and I'm going through all of these MGTOW videos looking for a video of a man who's going his own way. He says, I'd be interested in hearing what they have to say. He says, but all I hear is angry men complaining about women. He says it's very clear that none of these men have went their own way. He says, if you went your own way, why would you be complaining about women in a video? Why ain't you making a video about how you've improved your life and what you're doing for yourself and about maybe something you're doing, maybe a career you're getting for yourself, maybe you're inventing something, maybe you're specializing in cooking, maybe you're doing something, but what are you doing with your life that you've went your own way? And this is what Billy was looking for. And he says, I'm going through all these MGTOW videos and I can't find one video of a man who's actually went his own way. He says these guys are all angry and still hooked up into the matrix with the women. And well, that's true, isn't it? Okay, that is true. That's because what I've always said, men going their own way aren't going their own way. They're lying to the public. They're fake. They're fraudulent. But anyhow, hey, my guest here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think with the whole MGTOW thing, I agree with you that it definitely starts with men having just really, really bad experiences with women and really struggling to find a woman. And then sometimes they do, but it's so bad. I mean, the man is just not really valued by the woman, even if she's below, or even if he's more attractive than her, she still has so many options that he's just treated like shit. So it's like these guys are, I don't know if they're all just TFL, but they don't have much of an option. Even if they have an option at a relationship, it's not like the ideal relationship that they have in their mind. So it's like some of them maybe just decided that, well, let me go my own way because the options really suck here.
Well,
So,
that part I actually agree with you on because guys don't have an option. And even with marriage, everything favors the woman. There's nothing in it for a man. There literally is nothing in it for a man. And in a relationship nowadays, being with your opposite gender can be living hell because drama, drama, drama. Your inability to treat each other the way you should be treating one another and respecting each other. And this is not. This
yeah.
is this is just the reality. Is TFLers are actually pretty lucky and don't even know they are because they don't have to. They don't have to come home to the drama. They don't have to put up with the mind games and maybe while you're at work they're spending all the bill money.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you with like my relationship, I get about 2 weeks where it's just hell, and I guess right before her period and a little after, where she'll just turn into, it'll just get really bad. It's like not somebody you want to live with. But then like the other 2 weeks of the month, I guess it's like it's a different person. It's like a good person. So you definitely can't have it all the time. There's a lot of suffering with this marriage thing, and you don't really know what they're like until a couple of years in because everything's a show in the beginning.
That's exactly it. This is why I tell people when they get upset with me, I tell people that, and this is not discriminatory and it's not a gender issue. When I say that in today's society, almost nobody knows what they're doing, I'm not joking. When it comes to the dating scene, I tell men and women alike, neither one know what they're doing. Women are using the foundation to a good relationship as a rejection line, okay? And then you can't figure out what's going wrong here. And then just like what he said, you don't get to know the woman until you're with them, and then a couple of years in, you find out everything's in turmoil. Oh, that's because you spent too much time not knowing what you're doing. This is what people don't understand. Dating was originally meant, if you was dating properly, it was meant to take the time to get to know somebody for who they are, not about getting your dick in a hole or not about
You
getting
know,
your money. It's not about all the stuff that you're being taught by mainstream media and by what's going around.
Bill. I was thinking part of the problem might be the just how sexualized our society is. It's like when I walk around in the world, and I mean, I'm just constantly bombarded with sexual stimulus. It's like if I'm at work, I'll see some girl. She'll have a short shirt on. She'll sit down, and her g-string will be showing. Then I come home. I'm driving on the highway. I'm seeing billboards of hot women. You turn the TV on. There's all these hot women everywhere. It's like I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of being sexually stimulated that
You
that
are,
might
you are.
not be an.
See, you're actually not hallucinating in what you brought up. Matter of fact, Billy and I talked about that yesterday. Okay, incel guys. Most incel
Mhm.
guys really see the deception as this. You know, they got this picture, this fantasy in their mind if this is the woman they want, which is always a 9 or a 10. Okay.
Yeah.
And it starts with sex, because you're visualizing sexually, and you're correct. Sex has overrun everything, and sex and game has replaced the words love. People
Hmm.
confused, they think love is sex. So, and the difference between a true TFLer and an incel guy is the incel guy, see, he's only wanting to get sex. That's all it's about to him. A true TFLer wants a companion, a friend, a
Hmm.
woman who will be his best friend and his companion, his partner for life to grow old with. It's not just about
Hmm.
sex, okay? But the majority of society is so messed up they don't understand what a real date's about. A real date's about getting to know somebody. You might go on 10 dates, you might date for 2 years, you might date for 4 years, you might date for 3 months and break it off because you realize you don't have things in common. It's about getting to know one another. So if you did what a real date is, then what our guest here was talking about wouldn't be happening, because you wouldn't be 1 2 years into living with somebody and all this. Now you know the real person. See, what's wrong with that picture? You don't get to know them till after you live with them. That's what dating was about to begin with, was getting to know somebody.
Hey, Bill, can I ask you because you're a little bit older than me. Whenever you were young, was dating different? Was it more like what you're talking about here?
If you study a little bit of your history and go back, when I tell people to go back to the Leave It to Beaver days, okay, they say, no, we progressed in time. We're not moving back. They totally don't understand or get the concept that when I say go back to them days, I'm talking about studying the behaviors of men and women back in them days, and you discover what I just told you about dating is exactly
Hmm.
how it was done. And when you discover that the people lasted, relationships lasted, family units stayed together, it's because people
Mhm.
actually took the time to get to know one another. In today's society, we're in such a fast paced, moving society with all of your morals being broke down and destroyed, okay, that people don't get the concept that they think a date is, oh, I got lucky. I got my dick in a hole, okay? And it's a game. Okay, we got to have game in the dating scene. Well, another human being's emotions and feelings isn't a game to be played or toyed with. You wonder why domestic violence is through the roof and we're treating each other the way you are? Is because you're playing mind games with somebody when you have no right doing that.
Yeah, it's really strange the language that's used, like game. I mean, it's just weird that they would come up with that term game.
It's worked.
It's
It's worked. It's worked wonderfully. I tell people when I first come online with TFL, at that particular time, the only thing that existed online, okay, was MRA, men's right activists, and PUA, which is pickup artist industry. And this is where Steve Hoka was so correct when Steve Hoka back in the day said PUA and CIA. He was correct because all of this stuff's been socially engineered. They've
mhm.
socially engineered the destruction of our society and the breakup of the family unit and the division of the genders, and that's been deliberately done. The feminist movement was only one tool that's been used in past to destabilize other countries. And people don't realize the feminist movement was the same thing that's happened in history to stabilize other countries and break up their cultures as well. And that's exactly what's going on here in the States. So the feminist movement was never about fighting for women's rights. It was about dividing the genders. It was about breaking up the family unit. It was about taking the other half the population's money that wasn't working so that these criminals at the top can get more money for themselves off the people. That's really what it was all about.
Yeah, Bill, have you ever seen the show Housewives of Los Angeles or Housewives of San Diego? This show where these women, they just sit around and they've got really rich husbands, and they sort of just paint their nails all day and go to parties and get their hair done and get plastic surgery, and they're married to like really rich men. Have you seen that show?
No, I haven't watched TV in years, honestly. I've heard about it.
Okay, cause
People, and I've heard about it, so I
yeah,
have to agree with you because I've heard about it and what little bit I've seen. Yesterday I did a live stream and I talked about how I got hooked up into TV again off of DirecTV Online. And just what little bit I was there, the first things I saw just reminds me of why I don't watch TV. And the division was
yeah.
right in your face. So go ahead and tell people about what you're seeing.
Well, basically, and this is a really popular show. A lot of married women watch it, and I think what the effect of it is basically all these married women are watching this show of other married women who have it so much better than they do, and because they're married to rich guys, and the show is just like these rich housewives. Just their life is just glorified, and their life is just so great. They're beautiful. They're always going to parties. They're always getting diamond rings and jewelry. They're always being spoiled, and I think that's you know affecting women to where these married women that watch it are asking themselves, why don't I have it like this? Why am I married to this poor genetic piece of shit I'm married to? Why can't I have it like this? And so the women are being bombarded with this no man's good enough, I think,
That actually
with
you're
the
correct.
TV.
You are correct about that. They are being bombarded with that. And it ain't no accident. That's deliberately done. It's no different than think about it this way. If you really watch TV and you really watch what's going on in sitcoms and commercials and stuff over the last years that you've been around, how much male bashing do you see? Shaming tactics being used against men.
All day, every day.
There you go. There's your answer. Okay, all day, every day. Now, how much female shaming do you see?
I'm sorry. What?
How much female shaming do you see?
I don't see any. Every female is glorified,
Exactly. A
no matter
glorified,
what
and
she does.
regardless of what
No
she
matter,
does. Yes, she's
yeah,
not
no matter
held
what she does.
yeah, she's not being held accountable. I used this in
If
what
she,
little bit I saw. I got hooked up into bringing DirecTV Now on to reduce my cable bill around where I live. And I don't watch TV, but my brother's living with me. He moved in with me about a year and a half ago, and my wife's sitting over here next to me now, and she watches TV. And I've told people before, my wife's always pretty much right next to me when I'm doing what I'm doing, just like right now. I'm in this live
oh
stream
wow.
talking about what you're talking about, and she's sitting next to me. And most people don't realize this because I don't hide anything. See, it's called you have to be strong enough to be a real man, and you don't hide what you feel or think about a female, and she shouldn't be hiding what she feels and thinks about you. Okay, you got to get through the programming, but the thing is when it comes to what he's saying, what he just said right there, I get hooked into bringing this Struck TV in, and I get caught up in this 20, 30-minute show thing, and it's reminded
Hmm.
me of Perry Mason, okay? But they were selling this as a real, true live story, a real story, or really what happened in real life, and it was about a story about a guy who family who supposedly a family friend came in with a gun, held his woman at gunpoint while he was taking a shower and was robbing their house, and took her to the safe and shot and killed her. And he came out and blah blah blah, got a gun by the safe at gunpoint and turned around and shot his friend. Okay, and so went to court and they were in court and they were showing. And the bad thing about it is, see, it was a mock courtroom. That's why I call it Perry Mason, because they're advertising this and pushing this on the public as this really took place. This is a real story. And during this little half an hour that I watched, we had the man on trial and they're showing him in the courtroom, and they're bringing up, oh, two women that he had cheated on his wife with and how big a monster he was. And as I got closer to the end of the half an hour before I killed the feed, now we're
Hmm.
talking about the very same woman who had an affair, was cheating on him, and that was glorified. That was okay because she was a beautiful woman that everybody liked. So we could understand why she would have had an affair on him, so that was acceptable. But her husband having an affair on her was definitely unacceptable. So there it is, right in your face. The,
Wow.
you think
Oh,
about, well, think about your little girls at home. They're growing up watching a television set, and what they're seeing their whole life is male shaming, male shaming, male shaming, more male shaming, and more male shaming. Then they're going to school and they're being lied to in their school system. By the time they get older, they're hanging around with other girls that have all had the same stuff in their face their whole life. And so then it becomes a game. It becomes the guy's an ATM machine. What can we get out of the guy? Because that's all he's worth. Because guys are dumb and stupid. We know so because our TV told us so, because we've been seeing it our whole life.
yeah, Bill. A lot of people say this is like female nature, and I sort of don't agree with that. That it's just female nature.
No, it's not.
I think I think there's definitely programming
There is. It's
that's
never,
involved here.
it's not female nature. This is, see, people are saying that that's their cop out. That's the cop out to not look for the truth. Do you think MRA, men's right activists, all the years they've been online, ever looked for the cause, the root cause? See, I brought this up with Steve Holka because, see, Steve Holka is an HVAC tech. He services furnaces and air conditioners for a living. He is really a tech in real life. And when you talk to Steve, he'll tell you straight up, you have to look for the root cause. Okay? I think Steve wants to come in here. Okay.
Oh, awesome! Let them in.
Well, I gotta
I've been.
give him. You, if you want to do it, you got it handy with you. Type in
No,
the
no, I don't
no,
have.
no. Okay, then see, I have to bring
No,
it
I'm
up
on a
to
cell
do
phone
it.
outside.
Okay,
I've been suffering.
I'm gonna
I've been
bring
suffering from Steve Hooker withdrawal.
I'm gonna bring something up, and then I'm going to put this in the thing, the chat for Steve, because this is Steve. I know that for what I'm seeing. As soon as it lets me get it in the chat, that is. Okay. Okay, there you are. Call from your phone, Steve. Dial that phone number. It'll ask you for an ID number and put in that ID number. Write that stuff down and call from your phone, and you'll be in on the show. So that's how you get in here,
You,
Steve. This is the real
you,
Steve, so I put this information there for him. So anyhow, see,
you,
so the thing is women have been conditioned, they've been programmed, brainwashed, okay, just like men have. And you know what? Men are responsible for the brainwashing of women to begin with. Think about it. What do you see men do all the time? They pamper the female. They put them on a pedestal from the time they're young. They play favorites to them. They play favorites to them. They play favorites to them while they're throwing their little boys under the bus. And you see this,
yeah,
you see this all the time. This is not female nature. This is social engineering. This is programming. It's been deliberately done. And because people don't want to look into it, they don't realize it. Okay, that's all this is. So, but I did put the information for Steve right there because that is Steve. So if he dials that phone number I put there and he puts that in an ID number, he will be in the show. So that's up to him. We'll know if he shows up because it'll come in.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, you see it every day. I mean, women are definitely. It's almost like women are treated like human beings, and I mean, I'm sure you've heard the phrase before. Men are just treated like human doings. It's like a man doesn't really. It's not perceived to have any value just for existing. It's like, but a woman is. It's like no matter what a woman does, she has value. Even if she does nothing, she's still valued.
She's covered up for, yes. She has value because she's being covered and she's being pampered and she can do no wrong. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it before yourself that the woman's always right regardless of what.
Yes.
Okay, the double standards that are in society, the woman's always right regardless, okay, of what, and the guy's always wrong. See, this is
Yeah.
and that's not true at all, okay? Anybody with half a brain knows that's complete BS, but unfortunately, so many guys struggle so hard to please a woman. They go out of their way so bad to please a woman, they will throw another guy under the bus. And they don't care. They don't see anything wrong with their behavior because they're just as brainwashed as these women are.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, I mean, if you're in a bar or something, I mean, a lot of guys would be perfectly happy to, you know, commit some physical violence on your ass just to try to look good. I mean, if you're in an argument with a woman, people are going to be looking in like, dude, wanting to save her, wanting an excuse to save her, wanting an excuse to white knight, and it's like you can't even tell a woman she's wrong in public without putting yourself in danger.
That's it.
It's like it's like the communication is shut down because all she has to do is start screaming, and you might get your ass beat.
Oh, well, that's it. You can't call her out on her behavior. Because if you call her out on her behavior, she's going to start screaming, and other white knights or guys are going to think that you're abusing her, and they're going to come and put their nose where it don't belong, and they don't know the first thing that's going on, but they've been social conditioned like everybody else. Okay, or she can call the police and say that you're harassing her, or you're this, or you're that, and regardless of what, you're going to be the one in trouble because you stood up for yourself.
Yeah, I actually know a guy that's a teacher, and he got put he's at his house right now. He's not even teaching because a woman said that she felt uncomfortable. I guess he said she was beautiful or something, and she said she felt uncomfortable. And he's at his house right now. He's not even teaching. He can't teach until the investigation is finished. And all he did was tell her she's beautiful. And
That kid right
it's
there,
like
yeah. She feels uncomfortable because she has all the choice. Okay, you know how hard it is for her in the dating arena, right? I mean, she has it so hard. I mean, it's really hard, right?
yeah, wow. Man, I'll tell you though, I get depressed sometimes when I just look out there in the world, man. It's like sometimes, man, I just want to like crawl up in my bedroom and just like not even come out and just isolate myself. And I know that's bad, but sometimes I don't even want to engage with the world. And then when I do, it's like I'm just, walking on eggshells as I go through like the work life and just the whole thing. It's like I just kind of want to isolate myself sometimes. Stick my head in the sand like an ostrich or something.
Yeah, Steve's trying to use it, and he says he's not getting through. I'm looking to
Hey,
make
Bill,
sure it's copied right.
no, I'm on an important call, man. Yeah, the neighborhood crackhead just walked by and asking me for a cigarette like he does every day. Poor guy.
Okay. Only one is Yeah, I got an interruption here. It seems Steve's having a few issues here. I don't know what's going on with that. So we'll do this. Because that should work. Unless I haven't tried it myself from my home phone, but you came in without a problem on this number.
Yeah. I just worked the first time. I just typed in a number. Now it did sort of try to take me out and ask me for an additional number.
It's the
Like,
ID. That's the ID number.
well, like after you put the ID in, it asks you for like another number, but if you press pound, it'll just go through.
The meeting ID. Okay, it sounds like he got it. The meeting ID number. Okay, I'll give that to him. The meeting ID number for Steve is right here. Come on, put it back in the thing. Okay, that is the meeting ID number. So it sounds like Steve got through because it says asking for the meeting ID number. That's all you should have to put in, and you should come in because you come right in.
Yeah, I did have to press pound after putting in the meeting ID number though, and then it asked me for another number, and I just pressed pound again, and it came, and I was able to.
Yeah, because there is no other number, so you shouldn't have to put in another number. I
Yeah,
mean,
you don't, but you still have to press pound again.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Let's be a little goofy. It may have to be a look because they've done some updates on Zoom, so it could be one of the update things. I have to look. They got good technical support, so if I ever have an issue that way, I'll just get out of Zoom and let them know what's going on. Okay, so it's one of
Yeah,
them things. But you came right in, so I don't see why Steve can't get right in here. He should be able to.
Yeah, I really hope Steve comes in, Bill. You know Steve was the first sort of men's video that I've ever seen. First video I ever saw related to TFL or MGTOW or
There's a
MRM.
lot of guys that's had that happen. I was actually up here before Steve, but Steve's been around almost as long as
Hey,
me.
Bill, I'm in.
There he is. Well, hello, Steve.
Yep. Now I hear you loud and clear. I got the volume down on the computer, but I'm just doing it directly through my phone.
There you go. That's the way to do it. You're in.
Oh.
This,
All right. Well, just wanted to say, Bill, I was thinking about this the other day. This is not even TFL related, but how people always say, why do you complain? You sound like, they'll say that they use the term, people sound like a whiny bitch. Nothing gets done in history unless you first start complaining. Then if people blow you off, like, for example, if you're protesting a rotten sewer project, which benefits builders, then you have to complain, because if people don't complain, they'll just steamroll over you. That's how things get done. I don't know where in America, and Winston Wu was a brilliant orator and talked about this, how our society seems to ostracize you socially if you complain, which is the reason why so few people do complain. And I think complaining is the way to get things done, because it's what lights the fire.
yes.
Well, these idiots out there, let me finish. These idiots out there that sit there and say, you bitch and complain too much. I've stopped this sewer project here in my town, and it is in limbo right now. Even though they started part of it, they have not finished it, and there is a lot of red tape, and a lot of people are concerned because I bitched. And that's the only reason it's happened. Otherwise, they were going to steamroll the sewer right through here, and basically looking at $20,000, $30,000 in sewer bills for something that didn't need to be done in the first place. So when you complain, then people respond. I mean, it's like, I don't know why our psychology is, oh, you sound like a whiny bitch. Okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Just say nothing? I mean, you don't get anything done in the society, Bill, unless you complain. It starts with complaining, then organizing.
It does. Well, you have to first complain, and it doesn't matter if you get caught a kook or a nut. When you know what's really going on, you have to have tough skin and keep complaining and keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up. And then pretty soon people will start to look, and they'll get angry, and they've already attacked you, and they'll attack you. And then they will shut up, and they will look, and they will either join or they will go quiet.
Bill, I got something. Yeah, well, I got something to tell you. You said that your definition of the word double standard is corruption.
Yes.
I will give you my version of what complaining means. It means telling the truth. And because we live in a society that doesn't like to hear the truth, complaining and telling the truth are synonymous. They are synonymous.
You are so correct on that, Steve. I mean,
yes, they're synonymous. So when a person complains, generally speaking, especially if they've got a good reason to be complaining, they're telling the truth. And because telling the truth is seen as a taboo or as something people don't want to deal with, you're just a whiny bitch. So I should sit back and let corporate corruption happen. Like, another thing I wanted to fight, of course, it's on a bigger level, is fight this corporate welfare with the stadiums being paid for by taxpayer dollars. But it starts with people complaining. It doesn't start with just writing your congressman, and even that's complaining. I guess you could call that complaining too. It does start with people getting tired of being abused like this.
That's exactly it. I'm on board with that. And so I was talking. I don't know if you was around at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I just came in.
Okay, but I was talking about you. You noticed when you was in here, you see I'm flying the MGTOW banner next to the video. Okay,
yeah.
I did that deliberately because I was talking with Billy yesterday, Space Devil 13.
Yeah.
And he considers himself a lone wolf, a MGTOW. Okay.
Yeah.
And he actually has it down right. And he was looking online, going through all of the MGTOW videos, looking for somebody that was a MGTOWer that was talking about what they're doing to improve their life and how happy they are not having a woman in their life and what they're doing since they've walked away. And he can't find anything. All he finds is men bitching and complaining about the female gender, which means technically they haven't walked away. And I says that's correct, because the majority of them are TFLers in denial.
Yeah, well, they're doing something
Amen.
right. They're bitching, but the second thing they're not doing is they're denying TFL in the process. So they're kind of like they're complaining about things that we know. For example, the court systems are fake, and they heavily favor one over the other sex. But we also know. But I believe complaining. MGTOW has done one good thing. It's brought awareness to the problem. The only problem I have with MGTOW is that it's filled with people denying this TFL problem, which I believe TFL was the result of failed PUA. MGTOW didn't come out until PUA completely failed. It was on life support. 2007 was when PUA hit. That's when basically David D'Angelo folded MGTOW or PUA in 2007. That's when he did all his other get-rich-quick schemes. So we see what happened. Of course, TFL came out, but then came MGTOW, because MGTOW is just a surreptitious way of saying I'm lonely.
Yes.
Hey, Bill, can I get in here for just a second?
Yeah, go
ahead.
Yeah, I think MGTOW needs to get over this fear of being shamed. It's like they are really, really afraid to just say, look, I'm having trouble in the dating world. We have got to get over this shame. I mean, I'll tell people
Right.
to
Well,
struggle.
there's, like I said, I use the term strongman narrative because it's the exact what's happening. Everybody in MGTOW is trying to make it look like they've got more muscle when that's not true. We have to admit humility. We have to admit that it is something that we want to overcome, which is living loneliness. Now, I don't dwell on this. I'm more of a MGTOW than any MGTOW who's out there. I have not been on a date in 6 years. And I am more MGTOW than anybody. I got my career in order, and I've done more. And just another thing, the MGTOW say self-improvement. I've done more self-improvement in the last 5-6 years than anybody. Yet I still complain that the issue is TFL.
Well, in reality, the issue is TFL, but it all goes back to where it came from, which is the social engineering. So, and until people understand that, why are you ashamed, allowing the shaming tactics to put you down? If somebody calls you a woman hater, that's a shaming tactic. If they tell you you got mental issues, that's a shaming tactic. Do they know you? Did they walk in your life? No, they don't. They're using shaming tactics to get you to shut up. Then they'll tell you, well, this is taboo. Well, taboo means you're hiding something, which is corruption. You're hiding the truth. So when Steve said what he said about the truth, that is correct. You don't want to hear the truth because the truth scares you, because you'd have to take some personal responsibility. Wouldn't that be correct?
Now, I'll say one thing, though. Complaining doesn't mean you're always telling the truth. I mean, you can complain about something that's a lie. But what I mean, though, is that our society seems to have a problem of people that want to tell the truth via complaining. But how do you tell the truth if you're not complaining? It's crazy.
Yes, that's correct. It is. It's crazy. I mean, I appreciate the fact that Jeff come up here because the guy's real. He's telling it as it is. And this is what we need, is real people. The real people to speak up and say the real truth. And for all of you fraudulent people out here calling yourself MGTOW, why don't you take what Steve just said, or think about Billy, who calls himself a lone wolf and considers himself MGTOW, because he's not looking for a date. He's not interested. Like he said, if the right woman would come along, if the right one came along, he would be on board with that. But the majority of women are been brainwashed. And because women have been so brainwashed and toxic, he'll stand with his brother before he'll stand with a female.
Right. Well, one thing I'll say, Bill, too, speaking of people worried about, like, oh my God, if I'm out there, I'll never hold a job. My employer just advised me the other day. We were talking, and I was telling him about some things, and we were having, and he knows about my videos. 5 months ago, he knew. He goes, oh yeah, they were talking about your videos. I don't really care as long as you do your, it's like people act like once they get out there and show their face and complain about something, like as if their life is over. I might as well hang myself from a nose. They're so full of it. They're so afraid. Bill, you held a full-time job for the longest time before someone harassed you, but even so, you still were able to work.
I've always worked my whole life, even with everything I was doing with TFL on the political end. And the only real attack I ever had came on me was launched by government entities, but it was over the political end. It was never over the dating topics.
Yeah.
My channels that were taken
Yeah.
down was because of the political end. It was never over the dating topics, and that should fly a red flag for people. Why would the political end get you taken down? Because they don't want truth is why.
Speaking of complaining, Winston Wu talked about this one time. And Winston Wu, I don't care, he's a brilliant philosopher. He says that you're not allowed to complain about being lonely in this society. You're supposed to man up and be tough. And like saying I'm lonely is like, it makes people, like, it's like scraping your fingernails on the old style chalkboard. It's like, we've got all these social memes in our culture that are so toxic, all these taboos that are toxic. Is crazy. You know, I know you're against this, Bill, but a guy wanting to have sex, let's even if he's married, it's got to the point where a guy is not entitled to sex if he's married. Okay, we have gotten into such a shaming culture, and it's like they're beating down people so bad, particularly the male sex, that we really have to start complaining. MGTOWs complain about the right things, but they're not willing to address the white elephant in the room, which is TFL.
Well,
This is
Steve,
something they have to overcome that.
Well, Steve, what you just said actually goes back to a story that I just told right here, probably before you came in. I got hooked up into this. I don't watch TV and haven't watched TV in years. But my wife, who's sitting next to me, and my brother, who moved in with me a year and a half ago, both watch TV. And I'm
Right.
paying ridiculous prices to Mediacom for my internet and TV service.
But you're complaining. You're complaining.
Oh, yeah, but now let me finish here. So to save some money, I went investigating to find a different way of doing this to bring the bill down some, right? And in doing so, I wound up subscribing to DirecTV Now online and for my brother and wife to get TV. And I got hooked up in this damn half an hour TV show that I hadn't even watched in years. And I call it the Perry Mason Show because even though they were pushing this as a real life story and this really took place in a show in the courtroom, and this was supposedly the real courtroom setting, it was about a man who had a wife, okay, and who had a friend who supposedly robbed the house and held him at gunpoint, and he ended up shooting the guy and killing him. And in the courtroom trial, they got the guy cheating on his wife before she got killed, and they're slamming him to the ground for cheating. Then later on in the trial, it comes out that his wife had been cheating on him, and she was glorified for cheating. They said, well, she was a very attractive woman with a great attitude and personality. Everybody loved her, so there was nothing wrong with her cheating. But when he cheated, he was demonized for cheating.
Right. Yeah. It's but you know, these are things MGTOW will talk about, what you're talking about, but they won't address like what you and I have worked hard at making people aware of, which is the old, you know, the fact that there's so many guys that are living involuntary or loneliness or TFL.
Well, they are. You know, but Billy brought up a great point about this, and this is the reason I flew the MGTOW banner today, was because he says he is a lone wolf. He considers himself MGTOW, okay, because he's not looking for a woman, don't care to have a woman in his life unless it's the right one, because he's not going to get involved in the drama and the corruption, right? So he brings that up and he says, and I was going through all the MGTOW videos looking for a video of a guy talking about how great his life is without a woman, what he's doing to improve his own life, if he's getting a career or what he's doing. He says, I can't find nobody talking about that. All I hear him is complaining and bitching about women. He says, so in reality, they've never walked away from women like they're claiming they have.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, I mean, we'll be fighting this. I'm not going to, this way people have to understand. And another thing I want to talk about, I'll let Chris come in here. But a lot of people think that people like you and I, Bill, don't have lives outside of what we talk about. This is a problem with the internet. You get pigeonholed into this idea that you're only a TFLer. Therefore, everything about you reflects it. It's not true. You and I both work. We both respect the trades. We both have other things. I'm sure if me and you were hanging around together, we would be talking about other things but TFL. We'd probably be laughing about something. You know, I mean, for crying out loud, there's a lot of defeatist mentality within MGTOW.
Oh, there is. Our lives are not centered to, you know, it's like when people complain about Steve not coming up and making a video. Okay? Why are you complaining about Steve not making a video? This man has his own life and he's holding a career down and doing his own thing in his own life. He has personal issues like anybody else would have with family, things going on in his life. He's living outside of the internet. He don't always have time to come up here, and he don't owe it to you to come up here. He comes up here because he wants to come up here. He don't owe anybody that.
Chris, I want to have your word on a few things. I'm sorry we were talking over you.
Oh, that's fine. It's actually Jeff Ashton.
Oh yeah, Jeff. I'm sorry, Jeff Ashton. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know, man. Ask me a question.
Okay, Jeff. You're 38 years old. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you notice that things started to get different around 2012? Or this is where I noticed that completely I felt invisible, and I had a lot of responsibilities. But I mean, it's like I've noticed things have ramped up. I think there's a weird zeitgeist going on today, and it's such that like you are almost invisible. And you know, we talk about age factor. There is ageism, but then I think there's other things going on too, because you've got a lot of these guys that are TFLers that are in their 20s. So it's not all about, oh, you're just getting older.
I'll tell you, when I became invisible, I think it was probably around when I was 32, so 6 years ago. I really think that I really think that whenever women gain the ability to be able, when like the dating sites came out and these women are bombarded with like 300 messages a day, and not only that, but whenever they were able to check that on their cell phone as they're walking around all day, they're just presented with infinite options all day.
Right.
I think that's when a lot of guys became invisible. So whenever the smartphones really took over.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I think there's a lot of factors going on in society. I'm talking about immigration. I still believe that there are more single men mathematically than there are women. I just do. I think the stats speak for themselves. I think dating limbo is huge. I've talked about this before, but yeah, it's making awareness, because in 5 years, TFL is going to be much more ramped up than it is now. You're going to hear, and Bill talked about how they're going to eventually have these laws where they call those, what do they call those laws? The red flag laws. People in like these age groups of their 20s going into 30 years old are going to probably be the biggest suspects, because they're like combat ready. You know, you take a combat ready guy that's young, maybe he's been to Afghanistan, and he's going to be pissed. And these are guys that are going to really complain, and they're going to feel that they're mentally ill.
Yes.
Yeah, Steve, I was talking to Bill before you came in, and we were talking a little bit about how I was telling him how I feel like I'm bombarded with sexual stimulus all day long. Like everywhere I look, the TV, I see girls, they sit down in the chair and I see their G-string. I turn the TV on. There's pornography. I think with like the dating limbo, it's like men are always ready to date because
right. It's not a fair deal. Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not a fair deal because here's the thing. Women go into dating limbo. Men don't. So if you had a situation where 50% of the eligible women were in dating limbo and 50% of men, it would just be like a normal, okay, everything is just, 50% of men would be off the market. But men don't go into dating limbo. Only women do.
No, because we're being stimulated all day long with the TV and the G-strings and the billboards and the thoughts and every girl, even like you talk about the girls with the long hair, that adds to it, like the long straight hair.
The long hair, like short haircuts are not in. Now these MGTOWs have adopted this thing, and this is a MGTOW thing. Oh, I only want women with long hair. Well, the fact is, almost all women have long hair now. And the reason they do is because longer hair sexually stimulates men more. And I think that's the key to keeping men on the sexual plantation. I mean, it's a nonstop barrage of sex. And sex is not the end all be all, like Bill has said. It's a small piece of the relationship. I mean, you're going to get old with that person someday, and it's going to be just you and her. So, unfortunately, but I like at my age and Bill's age, we don't, and probably your age too, we have less maybe invested in the system now, but these younger guys are really going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I even think of like Bruce Jenner. Whenever he became a woman at age 70, it's like a normal person that wanted to be a woman. I mean, this dude should be looking like Mrs. Doubtfire, but he's trying to look like a hot 20-year-old.
And I don't even think he's a professed gayness. I saw a guy the other day dressed up in leotards, and he had this purple outfit on with green, like leotards, and he did not look gay. And I'm thinking you're seeing more straight guys that are trying to dress like this so they can attract the opposite sex. That's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, even 70-year-old women are trying to dress in a sexual, hot way. They all want to look like little 20-year-old little bimbos. And yeah, I mean, just the whole society is just, we are constantly stimulated, and women are not stimulated. They're discouraged. So they go into dating limbo. We get hypersexualized. They have all the options. We have none.
Yeah.
And it just leads to really bad things in the society.
Yeah, it really does. And so you have to be honest about things, and you have to, but you know, like I said, I don't think TFL is something that I fester on all the time. I make awareness of it. I think it's hurting more men today. The men that go to the bars are only festering in it because they're out there seeing these hot looking waitresses and girls there. And you know what? I've noticed something else. I mentioned this in a video before. I'm noticing more women at the bars now. Like I went to a bar, there were 60% women, but guess what? They're all segregated. It's segregated tables. So it's 60% women at this one bar I went to, but it's all women. Just like they all have their own group, and you ain't approaching them. I mean, they're just like, it's like,
No.
Now it's just like, okay, what's the point?
I'll tell you, Steve, my girlfriend, every couple months, she'll go out to the bar with like 15 of her friends, and they're all married. 15 married girls go out to like Ale House, and they get one of those humongous tables. And you know, they like dress up sexy. So if you were just in there, you would think that they might be single. But no, this is 15 married girls.
But let me ask you a question. I thought you were living. You have a girlfriend now?
Yeah. I live with my girlfriend, and I've been with her for 6 years.
Okay, so I was a little confused. Why are you fascinated with this subject if you're with a girl? You unhappy with the one you're with?
No. The reason I'm fascinated is because I've suffered TFL in the past. Before I found this girl, I would, I'd go on like PO, because I like really wanted to have a kid. I felt like that was something that I had to do at some point in my life, and I was unable to find a girlfriend for years. And what I was doing was I was going on like a POF and Match, and I was sending out 300 messages. I messaged like every girl on my zip code and that sort of thing. And I was able to date some girls that were like level 4s or 5s that had like 3 kids. But it's like I didn't want to have a kid with them because they've already got 3 kids, and they're sort of I don't want to be too judgmental, but it's like if I'm 32 and this woman's 43 and she's got 3 kids, it's like how low do I want to go here? So
how old is your girlfriend? How old is your girlfriend now?
She's 5 years older than me. She's 43 now.
So there's no chance that a guy like you could date a 30-year-old.
Man, when I was in college, Steve, I was never able to like date somebody in my class or like in the school. Like I've got a mathematics degree, and it's like I've never been able to date like a educated girl that's like normal or like in my same sort of thing.
Yeah, in the same age too.
Yeah, so it's like I've always had to date like ones that are older or ones that have no education. Like I've never been able to just, hook it up with some girl in like one of my classes. That's like never happened.
Well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you don't have to have an everybody would like to have that. It has its problems, but I think guys are struggling out there. I do. I mean, I don't make any apologies about being a promoter of the TFL idea, because I think guys are struggling out there. They're wondering what the hell, and it's like, how do you meet people? And what do you think of this theory? I heard one person mention this thing was called the one element theory, which means it's one element you lack might be the reason why you're not getting dates.
I don't know. I mean, I do think women they're so damn choosy. They want everything. They've got this big list, and I don't know. I don't know the one element thing. I think if you're valuable enough, if I was better looking, was more of a package, I think
that's all a supposition. That's all a supposition. Because I've had people compliment my new haircut, and it's like balding. Okay, you got a high hairline. What does that mean? Okay, I see some guy with a bald head. I mean, it's I don't know, these theories about alpha male studs and you got to be, have money, you got to have status. That's all subjective thinking. There's no proof that everybody that's got some sort of status is. Look at Chris Farley. He was that comedian that was nationally renowned, and he was a total TFLer.
Yeah, he killed himself. Yeah.
Yeah, the woman he was with, the prostitute, let him die in the hotel room.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
People don't realize
I think
Chris Farley, that was actually a disgrace, just like Gary Coleman. Look at what happened to Gary Coleman. I mean, media was down on him. Oh, you're a 40-year-old virgin? Okay, you think that was by choice, and then he's married to a woman you don't even have intimate sex with because she's not going to give you the time of day in the bedroom, but go out and do it with other guys behind his back?
Right.
Wow.
I think Chris Farley and Gary Coleman are prime examples of what's happening to men in our society.
But some people would say, well, they still had status. But my sister, you know what? I got to tell you something that happened many years ago, and it opened up my mind to this. Now, my sister was a pretty smart girl. She was pretty street smart, but she had a lot of good qualities. And I went to this Rolling Stones concert one time in '94. It was that Voodoo Lounge tour. They were in Cleveland. And Mick Jagger kissed one of the singers on his stage, and he put his sloppy lips on her. He didn't stick his tongue up. He slobbered on her face. And the girl kind of recoiled and pulled away, and then she kind of giggled it off. But you could tell she was a black lady, and she was kind of a heavy set. But you could tell she was kind of disgusted, but she laughed it off. Well, I told my sister about it the next day, and I says, well, why didn't she feel honored? That's Mick Jagger. And my sister blew up, and she said, are you kidding me, Stevie? Let me tell you something. Just because he's freaking Mick Jagger doesn't mean we all want that sucker. Just because he's got fame and money doesn't mean we want his ugly, sloppy lips all over us. And she went to town. So I don't think that being famous and it gives you all these women throwing themselves at you, because that woman was clearly repulsed when he did that. I wish they would have had a video of that, because it was unbelievable the way she pulled away. Because you could see it on the jumbotron they had there.
I believe what Steve said is so spot on.
Yeah, in other words, this woman clearly did not find him attractive. She was repulsed, but she tried to laugh it off. My sister confirmed to me that just because he's Mick Jagger, my late sister, that doesn't mean crap. She says, Stevie, are you kidding me? I wouldn't let that guy kiss me like that. I would recoil like that too. So, okay, he's got status. He's got everything. He's got more status than any rock star that's probably ever lived. And yet there are women that wouldn't screw Mick Jagger to save his life.
Exactly. See, status is just, it's one of them unfortunately delusional tools, because somebody has status and fame that they get all the women, but that's not true.
Oh my God. I've met local rock stars and bands in Cleveland that told me the same thing. And they said, oh, no, we don't get the women. Like, women really can care less if you can play lead guitar well. It's not about, you're not playing in a nationally syndicated band. They are, that might have been the case with Kiss and bands in the 60s and 70s, but it certainly isn't the case now. And like I said, I think that if Mick Jagger had to, if the devil made a bet with him and said, Mick, I don't think you can drive your limo in New York and try to pick a woman off the street, I don't think he could. I think he would make a deal with the devil and be dead. I think that most women would recoil at the idea of going to bed with Mick Jagger today.
I think
and even 20 years
yeah,
ago.
I think.
I don't think he has any status that he would do this. So these people that say, well, you got to really have status to be in that position. No, you don't. That Mick Jagger incident propelled me to understand a lot, and of course Chris Farley too. My sister confirmed it to me because she said, Stevie, don't ever tell me that I should be honored to have that slopper his lips all over my face, like as if I should be happy. But she was kind of defending that black singer. She wasn't at the concert, but I told her the next morning, and I said, oh, that singer should have been honored that Mick Jagger, he's Mick Jagger. And she freaked out, and she said, no, he's not. He's just Mick Jagger. He's not somebody I would want to sleep with or kiss. Basically she was saying, screw his status. It don't mean shit.
Yeah.
These people are nuts when they say, oh, you got to have status. No.
No, it doesn't. You got to figure, our guest here, Jeff, was talking about earlier about something he sees on TV with like basketball players and stars and the women that they've got. These women are sitting at home painting their nails all day long and spending the guy's money. I call them gold diggers, users.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you get gold diggers and users, so you got fame and stats. That's probably the majority of what women are hitting on them. And for somebody with fame and stats who wants a real woman, somebody who cares about them, they're going to have trouble finding that because most of what they find is people that are just chasing their money.
And Larry Bird, one of my favorite players of all time, Larry Bird, he was a high-status male. He didn't have women just throwing themselves at him. He was a low-key. I don't think he was even married at the time. It was like he, kind of just played. He was a man going his own way if there was any guy that could play basketball. And this guy was like, we didn't have women throwing themselves at him. Most of these people that are high status do not have an overabundance of women. What they do have is a potential overabundance of potential lawsuits is what they really have.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think it's dangerous for people that got high status and fame because they're either going to have a selection of gold diggers who are only chasing their money and they're going to get messed over by the system, or they're going to be alone.
If you asked every pro athlete that would be honest with you, they probably would tell you that no, we don't have these options. They don't have the kind of options that people, they can't. The only options that pro athletes have, Bill, is to find a wife, because then they secure a contract, a gold digger. But as far as that, you can't just walk up to some random woman on the street if you're some rock star and say, hey, would you like to go to bed with me? Are you kidding me? You would have, that woman would be calling the police in 1 second, in 2 seconds flat.
Yes, that's exactly it. Go ahead.
Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that bodybuilder named Rich Pania?
I do.
That he was huge. He was like, he wasn't like a top bodybuilder, but he was a YouTube star. I mean, he was huge. He was all steroids for years, and he couldn't get a girl, and he went the foreign route, and he brought a girl over here, and then and then he caught her. He caught her talking to her mom, and she told her mom, and he heard it, that she just married him for a green card. Right. And then he ended up dying a few years ago. But I mean, so this bodybuilding thing, I mean, this guy was like one of the biggest bodybuilders you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that case. Yeah, and he went and he was criticizing everybody who was telling him this. And then he had to recant and tell that he was wrong, that the girl was just after to get a green card. So
yes.
Well, he like overheard her on the phone with her mom and busted her, and she told her mom that she was just marrying him for the green card, and he ended up probably fucked him up. It probably led to his death.
Well, unfortunately, that is the true scenario. When I was doing remodels up in Florida, I used to visit Home Depot pretty much every day when I was buying supplies at the beginning of the day for a job that I'm going to, right? And there was this cashier in the contractor's line that she had a pretty good sense of humor and attitude, and we used to always crack jokes at each other as I was going out the door. And the one day I'm standing back of my work buddy, and he's there, and he's getting supplies for a job he's on. I'm getting supplies for a job I'm on. When I heard him telling her how proud of her daughter she is. See, she was married to this guy for 7 years, and she found a new guy because this guy made a whole lot more money than the guy she was with. And because he made a lot more money, she was dumping her current husband to go be with the other guy, and she was proud of her daughter for that. What does that tell you? I mean, what does that tell
Right.
you? You know, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
I lost respect for that gal immediately because of what she was proud of. I didn't like her anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well be an ATM machine with your feet bolted to the floor, huh?
Right. Status doesn't mean anything if you got money. It only means you're going to attract gold diggers. You know, I personally don't think Mick Jagger could get laid to save his life anymore. I don't think he could. He wouldn't find a woman that would want to just get laid. He'd find a woman that was looking to get his wallet. That's it. And there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's so in people's face, you know, and I call this fraudulent. It's called users. But what do you have to blame for that? Let's look once again at our society. Social engineering and dating. I mean, the gender roles that's put on society is put on you from the beginning. It says that you're a guy, you are the provider and protector. What's provider equal? ATM machine.
Right.
I don't buy into gender roles because that just promotes division and promotes usury. And so, yeah, this guy they was talking about the bodybuilder goes and gets a female from overseas, and then he has to find out that she only was with him for a green card. Yeah, that probably tore his heart out. Probably put him in major depression.
Yeah, well, women just, I don't think biologically, or I don't want to say biology, but maybe it's part of biology. I don't think money can make a woman attracted to you. And I think Cecilia Joe and I had this conversation many times. Joe said to me one time, he said, Steve, I know I'm going to eat. Well, he said this in a video. He said, I know I'm going to be miserable. He goes, because money, having a big bank account doesn't mean you're not going to live TFL.
Correct. It doesn't mean you won't live TFL.
Being honest to admit it.
What's that, Jeff?
That wasn't me.
Somebody else is in here.
It almost sounds that way.
I think somebody else is in there. I've been hearing weird sounds.
Yeah, it's almost sounding that way, doesn't it?
It sounded like a deep.
I'm going to look right now. Okay, so just bear with me.
I think somebody is in that chat. There's got to be, because I hear somebody else mumbling in there.
Okay, speak up, Jeff. Okay, now I'm going to try this.
Hello?
Okay, Jeff, speak up.
This is Jeff. There's somebody else in here. It's not me. That's
okay. Now,
doing that.
Okay, now hold on. Steve, speak up. Okay, I got to remove that one. There you are. Okay, I found.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Now, Jeff, say something.
This is Jeff.
Okay, I found our culprit. Okay, we have a culprit that used the number to call in, and I am now removing them. They are now gone. Okay. I had to do that because they used the ID and the call-in number to call in, and they were trolling the show, so I removed them from the show.
Right.
So you wasn't hearing things. I'm gonna keep my board up in front of me here, and if I see them come back in, I'm gonna remove them right away.
Well, yeah, that's because you put your number in the chat box, and that's why they came in.
Yeah, so they used it to troll the show, but they're gone now. I took them out. Okay. I do have that option through my Zoom, so I just brought up my Zoom and looked to see, and we did have an extra caller in here who was having a field day trolling the show. Well, they're not here no more.
Well, he didn't get to listen to anything he can't hear live online. I don't know why he would have bothered calling in.
Just so that he could make sounds into the show and laugh. So I've just got this. I've got my screen up in front of me for Zoom right now. So if they want to come in and do their thing, I'm going to see them show up. And the minute they show up, they'll be removed because they don't have permission to be here. So the only two we should have in here now is Jeff and you, Steve.
So let me talk to Jeff again. Jeff, you were mentioning about having a girlfriend. That was something you never talked about before. So you've been with this girl 6 years. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys have regular intimacy. I mean, there's no whole. I mean, she's a good girlfriend to you, right?
Yeah. Overall, she's pretty good. I mean,
does she use sex to control you?
no, she didn't. She doesn't do that. I mean, it's it's going okay. I mean, I just really felt like I just had to have a kid, and because
You don't have
I got this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I knocked her up 2 weeks in because I didn't think I was going to get another opportunity.
So you do have a kid.
Yeah, I've got
You
a
didn't
5-year-old.
say you had it. I'm confused. Now you have a kid. Okay, when did you have this kid?
Okay, so whenever I met her 6 years ago, I got her pregnant 2 or 3 weeks in. 2 or 3 weeks after I met her, I got her pregnant. See, I didn't think, because she was a little more attractive than the level 4s and 5s I was dating.
Yeah.
On POF, so
right.
I felt like this might be my only opportunity to like have a kid, and so I knocked her up, and yeah, so we've got a 5-year-old. As far as the sex, it's actually okay. I do sort of have a situation where about a week before her period to about a week after, she'll turn into a different person. So it's sort of like I'm dating 2 women, one that's really a bitch for a couple of weeks, and then she'll be nice. So
basically, the novelty of having somebody is already worn off, which is what Bill has always said. Sometimes guys that are TFL are better off being TFL.
Yes.
Right, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Actually, I hate to say that because, it's tough pill because I don't like to see guys living TFL. But I'm going to go back to what Billy says because it's so correct. I would rather see you be a lone wolf living MGTOW willingly because you see the corruption in society and how women are treating men. And then if the right woman comes along in your life and you know it's the right one, then definitely, because I'd love to see everybody have somebody in their life, but you don't need a toxic relationship. You don't need to be treated like dirt or like an ATM machine. And you don't need the drama.
The weird thing, and the weird thing I'll say, Bill, like I said, I'm not a virgin or TFL or to the point where I've never had anybody. But when you're in a long-term relationship, because you've maybe got access to sex, that stops being an issue. And then now it becomes an issue of, do I get along with her kids? Do I get along with her parents or her? So all of a sudden, the issue becomes, I wish I didn't have this girl. That's crazy. But it's like a lot of TFLers don't know that once they're in a relationship and they have a kid and they're dealing with the drama, all that stuff that they thought they were missing, they're wishing now they could go back because, you really don't go back once you have a kid because it's a responsibility. And so, the sex is never going to be as good as it was when you first met the girl. Am I right, Jeff?
Yeah, basically, like she'll do stuff, man. Like she'll give me a hand job or whatever, but it's like she'll be laying in the bed with her head on the pillow and all of her clothes on, and it's like I'm being jerked off by a dead person.
Oh, yeah, it's right. That is unbelievable. So she doesn't want to open up, literally, in the most literal sense, open up, right?
Yeah, it's more like, 6 years in, it's more like just get it over with. I'm just doing this so you won't go crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's not good. Well, it's not good because now you've got, and I don't, I think that you're probably looking to move on, maybe to something different.
Well, my goal is to stay here until my kid's 18. That's my goal. But if I didn't have,
well, then you're really gonna really be TFL. You'll be an old man.
Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like having a kid was something that I just felt like I had to do, and I knew the risk coming in. Like I've been listening to you for like 10 years, and other I knew the deal coming in, but it's just I just made the decision, and I really wanted to have a kid. I just felt like I just had to do it, no matter how bad the situation, no matter how bad the dating scene, no matter how fucked up these women are. It's like I just had to do it. And I'm glad I did. MGTOW would just.
Well, one thing I know it's gonna sound like a lame thing to say, but the ultimate validation from a man to a woman is when a woman is willing to have your kid. It is a form of validation that probably felt good to you, to know there is a woman out there that wants to bear my child, because that is, I mean, everybody in the PUA talk about the bad boys and all that stuff, and they say, well, if a woman is willing to have your kid, she's validating you in those purest sense. And if you think about it, you were validated by her. It's not like you're a millionaire,
Yeah, it's not just that. I also have this like image in my mind of like when I get older, like the second half of life, having kids and grandkids and a family of some sort, at least kids, where, like I just have this image in my head of the second half of life. I just don't think it'll be as meaningful if I didn't have any kids.
Oh, you said that in one of your broadcasts. I remember that, and you're absolutely right, because you're getting into the age thing. Well, you did this in your early 30s, so you're all set. Guy like me, I mean, yeah, I could have a kid at this age, but it would probably tax the hell out of me financially and emotionally, because now you're looking at 68 or 66 by the time your kid's old enough to go to high school, or go to college.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think you could do it if you wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you stay healthy, right? If you stay healthy, you could do it at, you could do it at a very old age.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be like 60 years old and just not have any kids or family. It's just like, and I mean, I just feel like it's just, and I mean, it's even more than that. It's like I'm here because for who knows how long, everybody in my family had a kid, and umbilical cord to umbilical cord, and here I am. It's like, if I'm
right.
if I'm gonna go against that, I mean, I feel like I've got to have a pretty strong argument, and I just felt like that women being so fucked up and feminism is just not enough, for the dating scene not being right, or it's just not strong enough for me to go against something that's been done for about hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah,
millions of years. Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think of these guys like Angry MGTOW, who are claiming that women are now getting desperate to find men? I don't see any indication of that.
That guy's delusional. This idea that there's going to be some apocalypse and all the women are going to come running back and women are desperate now and they're doing PUA. This guy's delusional.
I don't know any women doing PUA. Women.
There's only one woman. There's only one woman I know of that's doing PUA. She's wrote a PUA book. She's went up on mainstream media pushing her book, and she's holding seminars. Okay, and it's a female doing it. Okay, and that's the only one I know of.
And she's telling men how to get dates, right?
Exactly.
Oh, no good.
Exactly, no good. No good at all. It's no different than the men's rights movement being run by a pack of women.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? I mean, that's the corruption we have in our society. Let's keep the genders divided. Let's keep the problem alive, because other people are getting their entertainment on causing other people stress, Human suffrage, right?
Yeah, I think this whole thing where there's going to be this apocalypse and the women are going to come running back. I think that's sort of coping.
Well, yeah, it's coping, but there's no evidence that that's even coming close to happening. I don't know why these guys come up with these theories. There's no evidence that this is even happening. That's what's crazy.
No, well, that's just it. In today's society, look how many videos you got up there where people are making claims with nothing to back it.
Right.
And if you're going to make a claim and you have absolutely nothing to back it, you're a clown.
Right. Especially if you know it's just a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with the wall. It's like, oh, they want these women to hit the wall and suffer, and it's like they just want to come up with something to where they feel like, these women are going to suffer like we have, and They're just trying to cope, I think.
Yeah. In fact, I don't desire to see anybody suffer. That's another thing. I never really believed in a world of wanting something bad to happen to other people. And that's something that I've never really fell into that trap of wishing the worst on somebody because somebody's made maybe life rough for me. I kind of just have a different philosophy about it. You know, I would never wish TFL on anybody. I would never wish it on my worst enemy.
No, and there literally is no wall. The only wall women hit is the time of life when they can't have kids no more.
Yeah, that's yeah, right, for sure.
Okay, I mean, as far as any other wall, it don't exist. I mean, what are you talking, Casper, the invisible wall?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I put a 400-pounder on POF, and she got 30 messages in the first hour.
Yeah, were they good-looking guys or ugly guys?
No, ugly guys, but I mean, she still had options. I mean, she was 400 pounds, Steve.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but she has options. She has options.
I mean, they were ugly guys, but I mean, there was 30 of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this wall does not mean that the woman's not going to have options, because they're going to have options until they're 90.
Right.
That's correct. That is so correct. You got people up here telling fairy tales is what they're doing. They're just making up fairy tales or illusions. A mirage.
Right. Oh, they get real animated too. I mean, they start feeding on each other and coming up with these like dramatic, like end of the world scenarios where all the women are going to come running back and they're going to be paying thousands of dollars for PUA to get any man. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah, well, that would be the case. We'd be seeing these sites popping up everywhere. I don't see any websites dictating to that.
Don't hold your breath about seeing it either. You'll pass out and wake up with a headache. Because Steve's right. I mean, he don't see it because it don't exist.
Right.
Steve's very observant. For people who don't realize that, Steve is very observant to what's really going on around him. And for people who think he don't, well, you don't know what you're talking about, because Steve is really very observant.
Yeah, there were a couple YouTubers that tried to rehash the idea of status and looks and money. And all I can tell you is that Mick Jagger incident really hit home with me. The woman recoiled. She didn't find him attractive. My sister confirmed me. What makes you think we'd want an ugly guy like that kissing us? I can care less if he's Mick Jagger and he's famous and rich. That really opened me up. And that was over 25. That was like back in 94. So we're talking 24 years ago. Yeah, yes. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think with the brainwashing on the women, I think it's like women, it's almost like they're ashamed to give a man any kind of like validation. Even somebody
because
like
it's and I think that the reason why girls don't hold hands today with guys is because it's a form of submission, and that's why women don't hold hands, because holding hands means submission. It really does, especially if the guy's taller than you. You are submitting to him. So women just choose not to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's this meme going around. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. And I'm wondering if girls shame each other for just being in a relationship.
Right. It's possible.
I don't know. Do you guys think women shame each other for being in a relationship?
I have seen a situation where women will shame other women because they don't approve of the guy that the woman's with, or the woman's with. And, for whatever reason, she's decided this guy's not good enough for my friend. Most likely because she looked at him in 1 to 5 seconds, And so she will try to use shaming tactics on her friend to get her friend to dump the guy. And it's sad because when that does happen, some of these women, they fear losing their friends, so then they end up dumping the guy, which is complete hogwash. When then the reality, they should tell their friend, if you're really my friend, then you're going to accept me for who I'm with, or you can just leave.
Yeah.
I mean, so that type of stuff does happen, okay? And it's sad, but that's one more time that's a social engineering in society, and everybody wanting to use that all high mind in the jar to think with.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like individuality went out the door, and people don't want to understand that nobody's going to keep their looks. Nobody's going to keep what they got. They're going to get older. And as they get older, they're going to lose their looks. Okay. And for somebody who wants their best friend and companion in their life, which is the majority of true TFLers, I understand that. I also understand they're angry because they have a right to be angry, but you have to control your anger. And you have to find
Mm-hmm.
ways to make yourself happy, because happiness is going to come from within yourself. Nobody can make you happy. Money won't make you happy. Fame won't make you happy.
And
Yoni.
believe it or not, sex won't even make you happy.
No, that's correct, Steve. Sex
Yeah.
won't make you happy neither. Happiness has
Yeah.
to come from within yourself.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to cultivate sometimes. I think it starts with being accepting of having a philosophical view of the world and having no expectations. It's kind of like when I was a caregiver, and and not just myself, but I'm watching other people run in the same situation. You kind of have to accept that not everybody in the family is going to really be involved in that,
Yes.
And
Yeah,
you can't
Bill,
hate. Yeah, go ahead.
Bill, I want to ask you too, Steve. Do you think with the brainwashing and the way women are now, do you think that men and women can be real friends
Well,
in this environment?
in today's society, my answer, I'll let Steve answer give his opinion in a second. But my opinion, in today's society, I don't see any possibility of that, because of the fact that to straighten out society, men and women have to first be able to become friends. It's not, because friendship is the foundation of a true relationship that's going to last. And friendship is being used as a rejection line in today's society. So as
Yeah.
long as it's skewed and being used as a rejection line, you have already destroyed the foundation of a true relationship. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion, okay? This is what I see going
Yeah.
on. But go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was going to say something else. When you segregate the sexes, which is what's going on today, you create nothing but objectification, because a woman only becomes a sex object and a man only becomes a sex and money object. Without integration of the sexes on a more personal level, the only thing that happens is, like Bill, you said, it's all about looks, status, and money. And with men, it's all about objectification, because how can a man not objectify a woman when he's not allowed to even be friends with her in the first place? So all he sees is these women at a distance. Like if you go to a modern day bar today, yeah, you'll see 50% of the patrons are women, but guess what? Those women are all sitting alone with other girls. They're not, so you have a form of Sharia law going on right now in the West.
Yes, that's correct. That is the further breakdown of our society. That's what you're witnessing in your face, is the breakdown of our society, the destruction of the family, and the division of men and women. Because what Steve just said, you go into a bar and the women that are in there are all together, and they're not out looking to hit on it, these guys. That right there is so in your face.
Right.
So, how are you going to get out of
Yeah.
that? It's in your face.
Right.
Yeah, I remember having some girls who I would consider real friends, but that was when I was in middle school. I've never had a girl that I could really relate to and actually talk to and trust after puberty.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if just after puberty, with the brainwashing in there too, it's just, I mean, the last girl that I had that I consider a real friend was in like fifth or sixth grade.
Jeff, do you think that a lot of this is, you think it's harder as you get older, as age-wise, or because I tend to think it's not just the age factor, because respective of your age, you should be able to attract women within your age group. And I see no indication that women, for example, they might not find you attractive if they're 20 years younger, but you should be able to find somebody. And if women are not flirting with you, it's a good indication that something, I mean, if you're going out in public and you're not getting any attention, it's probably an indication of not you, but society.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you my experience is basically it. I feel like when I was in middle school, everything was great. Girls talked to me. Girls talked to all the guys.
Right.
Everything was good. High school, it got a little worse, progressively worse.
Right.
Girls started to get a little colder. They definitely got colder in like 10th grade for me, 10th and 11th, and
Right.
12th. By 12th grade, they were. It had gotten bad. They became really cold, and also I feel like I've become more disconnected. Just gradually, the older I've gotten since middle school, I've become more and more disconnected with like other people. I mean, I've got some good friends from college. I'm lucky I've got a few friends there, but nowadays at age 38, if I go out somewhere, nobody's going to talk to me. And if I talk to them, they're going to be like, "Who's this creep?"
38 seems to be the point of no return. When you're at that point of no return, your life is not much different than a 48-year-old. It really isn't. It's pretty much you're invisible.
Yeah, I feel completely disconnected. Unless I'm talking to some friend that I've known for 10, 15 years from college. I've got a couple of good friends, but besides that, like I'm completely disconnected from the world. And when I go out, I don't really talk to anybody. And if I try to talk to people, it's like it's weird. It's a complete disconnection. And I don't really talk to most of my neighbors. I mean, I'll try, but they're standoffish too. It's like we live in a really disconnected society.
It is. People are disconnected. They're totally disconnected. You know, you got people get together to go see their friends, and they'll go to their friends' house and they'll got their smartphones in their hand, either playing video games or texting somebody else, and they're not associating with each other. And you see this going on all over the place, and neighbors don't know neighbors anymore. And you know, at one time in our society, you lived in a neighborhood and you pretty much knew who lived next door to you on both sides of your home and across the street. And the neighbors all knew each other and associated with each other, helped each other out, you know, and became friends.
Yeah.
But you don't see that anymore. Now it's like you live in a neighborhood and you don't know anybody that lives next to you.
Right.
Yeah. And I think part of that is the TV that sort of they push all this fear that like everybody is a child molester, or everybody's going to scoop you up in like Criminal Minds or
those shows like how about Law and Order SVU? God forbid.
Yeah, I mean, whenever people watch this stuff all day, whenever they see somebody in real life, that like pops in their brain. It's this anxiety and fear running through the culture, and it's like it's sort of like people are scared out there. People have anxiety. They're afraid. They're confused. They don't know who they can trust, and all they're seeing on TV is white guys scooping blonde girls up in white trucks and then chopping them to pieces.
Right.
I hate those shows. I hate those shows.
You know, well, the TV set actually is a big tool that's been used to brainwash our society, and people don't realize that you're better off to walk away from your TV.
Yeah, I don't really watch it. I mean, I watch boxing and I watch UFC, and that's about the only TV I'll watch. And I don't even like watching this. Like I don't even like watching football because it's so gynocentric with the guys wearing pink shoes, and they're always pushing something. They're always pushing something political. You turn on the football game and you see Barack Obama being interviewed by the NFL interviewer.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing here?
You're gonna see a bunch of BS. That's why what little bit I got hooked into the television. What a little bit I got hooked into a television set stream the day before yesterday, and so what I saw in that first 20, 30 minutes just disgusted me because I saw a mock courtroom. That's the reason I called it Perry Mason, because it was a stage. It was definitely a show. It was a Hollywood script. It wasn't real, but they were selling it to the public as being real. And then when they turn around and sell to the public how bad it was for that guy to cheat on his wife, but when she was cheating on him, how that was just, I'm sorry, but she was beautiful and she was intelligent and had a lot of friends and a great personality. So you don't blame her for cheating. I mean, the double standard there is
Hey,
just off the wall.
hey, Bill. If you're ever in the mood to really get fired up and triggered, I want you to download a season of Sex in the City. I think you'll enjoy that.
Oh, I don't know that I enjoy that. That might cause me to do a bunch of videos and get a strike and lose my channel.
If you watch that show, you'll have enough material to go on for another 30 years.
Oh yeah, I'd have enough material to get shot down, wouldn't I?
Yeah, but that's another one, Sex in the City. If you're ever in the mood to get triggered.
Well, I think Steve Hoga dropped out, so maybe his phone might have went dead.
Well, all right, Bill. I'm gonna go, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
That's all right. I think this live stream's been long enough anyhow, so I'm gonna get out of here as well. And hey, thank you for being here. I'll do another one soon, and when I do, you got the number. Keep it, okay? And you're always you're always welcome to come in, Jeff.
Hey, thanks, man. Hey, Bill, check out my channel if you have a chance.
I will do that. Send me a link in my email to your channel so I can hit the right channel, okay? With that being said, I'm gonna get out of here, and it was nice talking with Jeff, and we'll go from there. Later, guys.
You too, Bill.
Yep.
Take care.